Welcome back, listeners, to the Get a Grip on Lighting podcast. Today was episode 49, and we talked with Tim Licitra of the IES. Had a great discussion with him, and this is something new for us. I'm the co-host, and I'm opening on behalf of the show. Number 49, 1 out of 50, Mike gave me the opportunity to do this. It's my dream come true. Our sponsor of today's episode was Keystone Technologies. Go to KEYSTONTECH.com, baby.
KeystoneTech.com.
Take back over. So, talking about some of their products, we talk about a lot of their retrofit. They have a lot of retrofits. You call them the retrofit kings, which they might change their tagline to, as you've told them to. But they also have a lot of fixtures. And today, Matt can pull it up on the YouTube video, but we have the micro strip fixture. And what that is a real compact LED strip fixture with a nice diffused lens. It's energy efficient at about 130 lumens per watt. Comes in different lengths, 2 foot, 4 foot.
Are they interconnectable to one another? Do they interconnect with one another?
Yeah, they have
continuously row mounted
through the junction box. Yeah, they come through that way, and they're 2 foot, 8 foot, 2 foot, 4 foot, and 8 foot.
Okay.
Multiple Kelvin temperatures, lumen packages, everything you need, but in a nice look, sleek. Good design, something a lot different than just a standard strip light that might have tubes exposed. This gives you a new upgraded modern look. So something that they call their X-Fit LED fixture micro strip.
From what I've seen, Greg, Keystone does the best market research. And you know how we know why? Because we participate in it. Yeah, we participate in it.
That's right.
So go to KeystoneTech.com. That's KEYSTONETECH.com. And Greg, who else sponsors the show?
NAILD, National Association of Innovative Lighting Distributors, who we've been members of for years. Best association around to get lighting knowledge, to have a good background, and to be prepared for the future. Always check them out.
So
and without further ado, check out episode 49 of the Get a Grip on Lighting podcast.
Welcome to the Get a Grip on Lighting podcast, Tim.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
No problem. Say hi to Greg Eric.
Hey, Greg. How are you?
Good, Tim. How are you?
Yes, we do talk before we start recording, folks. Sorry. But Tim just didn't log on this second.
There you go.
So what's going on down at the IES, Tim? What are some of your priorities these days?
Well, our big focus recently, after coming through annual conference and our street and area lighting conference last month, has continued to refocus our efforts on increasing the value of membership services.
And when you say membership services, is there different kinds of members in the IES that have different unique needs?
Sure. So we have a pretty diverse membership group here at IES. And so we've been focused on trying to create membership services through educational content that meets the needs of a wide audience.
How did you get into the lighting business, Tim?
Well, I really didn't know what I was getting into. I was executive director and CEO of a nonprofit in the financial industry, and joined IES and had no idea what I was getting into. So I don't come from a traditional lighting background, but it's been a fantastic 3 years, and it's been just over 3 years now as of last week.
So in terms of the IES and how it's structured, I'm somewhat aware of it because I am a member, but can you give a broad overview of membership categories, how the board works?
Hang on a second here.
Or not.
I want to know how a non-lighting dork came to be the top dog at the IES.
It's an interesting question. So the previous organization that I worked for, as I mentioned, was in the financial industry, was made up of different membership categories, just like IES, a membership-driven organization, one that had sections all around the world, but was focused on a certification. the unique experiences that I had there in taking an organization through a lot of changes and transitions really lent itself to what IES was looking for at the time when I was hired. So increasing value of membership services, improving systems and operations, improving board governance for the organization, and really turning the organization into an agile one that can meet the needs of the membership and the overall community.
Yeah, you know what? So you're a strategy guy.
I try to be.
No, because you know what's interesting is that we had talked. Our podcast started. The first couple episodes, we were really talking about IES relevance and how we had a discussion with Randy Reed. It's got to be 2 years ago now, Greg.
Sure.
Where we were discussing whether or not the IES had ceded and lost a lot of ground to other lighting organizations, and I think that you're changing it. I actually have seen a lot of good stuff coming out of the educational programs and that. What is it that you have done specifically with not in the non-lighting realm as a manager to really light the fire under this organization?
Well, great question. I actually think that fire was lit by the board of directors right before I joined the organization. We went through a comprehensive business review that really peeled back all the layers of the society to find out what our pain points were, what we were doing well at, where we needed to reallocate resources. And that coincided with my joining of the organization. And the board was really focused from a strategic standpoint on increasing value of membership services and lighting that fire. And fortunately, I came in at a time where often when there's changes that are occurring, or sometimes there are new hires that take place, and those that are hiring say, you know, we really want to see change. Not too often do they mean it. And here at IES, they really meant it. And so the board was very supportive of change, and they were the real facilitators of it.
You know, when you hear like a corporation struggling and or a society struggling, and it's like, you know, there's like two different, you know, from the management guru, whatever class you call them, it's like, you need to bring in someone from the outside. No, you need to, you know, promote from within. And, you know, this kind of, there's like a struggle between these two strategies. And whenever one goes wrong, it's because you brought in an outsider. And whenever the other goes wrong, it's because you should have brought in an outsider, you know. Ask the Toronto Maple Leafs. They've struggled with both of those strategies for I don't know, since 1967. What was it about your Chicago Cubs? Probably is another one for a long time. Oh, they won, didn't they? But from your perspective, what was it about your outsiderness that allowed you to see maybe where some of the inefficiencies were?
Well, I think as in any organization or even overall community, there's a bias that is formed over time. There's politics that come into play, and preconceived notions. And so coming from the outside, myself had none of that. So an individual that comes in from the outside has really no idea what they're getting into, but also they're not led in one direction or another, or already leaning in a certain direction. So they're able to come in and be truly objective to really figure out what's needed to succeed.
Sometimes you can be blinded by your own familiarity in some instances, particularly with large, old, large, multifaceted institutions. But I had a really good question before I said that. Let me see if I can capture my train of thought before I point at my co-host here. Oh, did you hire Tom Butters to be the educational director?
Yes, I did.
That's a good hire.
Yes, I did.
And I'm not just saying that, Tom. That's a good hire.
He's local, huh?
Well, he's a Canadian like me. We want to keep it going. Don't keep it on the down low. He's done a lot of different things on that IES website in terms of online education for the public that are non-IES members. Was that a main part of the strategy?
It was. We put together a 5-year plan for education that also coincides with a multi-year plan for standards and research. And so the education plan is not only to support the standards and technical documents that are coming out, but also to promote other educational opportunities, both for members and the general public. And I mean, that's our mission, right? Our mission is for not only the membership, but the general public. So it was important not to lose that aspect when increasing value of membership. You can also increase the value of membership, not just by a tangible good, but by making the organization as a whole have greater awareness amongst the community and general public. So by improving our standing there and visibility through educational offerings that Thomas put together, that also has helped members as well.
So now you've going back to my question after Mike took over there, but the you chimed in on a lot of what I was going to ask about is the structure and how it's worked and where the ideas come from. You have a board of directors, you have actual employees of the IES. Maybe just give us a breakdown on how the structure is run and then how the membership categories work.
Sure. So we have a board of directors that are elected by the membership. And that board helps to set strategy, determine the vision of the organization. And my responsibility is to help lead them on that path and then to take what they create from a strategy standpoint and turn it into operations and take that to the staff and make sure they understand where we're going and arm them with the resources of how to get there. And so we have a staff of about 27, 28 full-time individuals now. We've really increased the staff and our resources towards our standards and research and education. We've increased staff in standards and research. I believe when I got here it was around 2 full-time employees, and now we have 6. And in education, we had no full-time employees, and now we have Tom, and we're actually putting out to hire another individual for education.
So hang on a second. IES didn't have a full-time employee for education before you came along?
No, not dedicated just to education. We operated and relied on our committees, and our committees did a great job moving us forward. And we've, every organization gets.
I don't buy that, Tom.
You have to take.
I don't buy that. I hate volunteerism. I hate volunteerism. There's nothing worse, because it's like, oh yeah, we're at the conference, everyone's all jacked up. I'm on the membership committee. I was the membership chairman, volunteer membership chairman of the National Association of Innovative. I'm the membership chairman right now, of the National Association of Innovative Lighting Distributors for 3 years. Okay, everybody's got a full-time job. Guess what? If you're going to an IES convention or you're joining the IES, you probably work 50 hours a week already. How much can you do in the interim? But how much can you get done in the interim? Good idea to hire full-time people.
I do think you need to hire full-time people, but I think IES has been lucky in the fact that we have very dedicated volunteers, and these volunteers give more time than I've ever seen in any organization. Volunteers are important for any society. I mean, look at IES, we're still a very lean staff. And we're able to accomplish a lot. And that's because our staff also leans on those volunteers and those committees. I mean, we have hundreds and hundreds of members that volunteer time. And so we wouldn't been able to be in the position we were when I got here if the volunteers hadn't volunteered their time and gotten us to where we are.
Fine. Okay, fine.
How do you feel participation is now going forward? Are you getting new members to join, or is it the same people kind of staying involved, or how is it looking for the future?
Yeah, no. So there's been a renewed effort to engage the younger members, not just young in age, but in how long they've been in the lighting industry and new to the organization. And so we have larger number of emerging professionals which have 1 to 5 years experience within lighting attending our conferences. And those individuals are joining our technical committees and our membership committees. We've increased the number of our technical committees as well last couple of months. And we've been focusing now on a big renewal effort to make sure that our committees are balanced and have the right representation.
Got it. And then reading about your conference you had in 2018, unfortunately we couldn't make it, but next year we'll plan to get there. It sounds like you had record-setting attendance and good turnout. What do you attribute that to?
Sure. I think the committee itself has really been focused on content, putting together the right type of content to reach a wide audience. And so we've seen a lot of growth going from back in 2015, we had about 300 members in attendance at the annual conference, up to 450 in Orlando, then 600 in Portland, and now 700 in Boston. So it's been a focus on making it an event that's for everybody, with committee meetings that take place beforehand, but also content that reaches a diverse audience.
I don't know if you have it handy.
It goes back to the volunteers that help participate.
Oh, man, I'm going to take a hit for this one, eh? We're going to call this episode The Power of Volunteerism. Tom,
there we go.
How is do you guys, I mean, you might not have it offhand, but how was the growth of membership for you guys in the last 6 and then the last 3 years? Have you accelerated the growth of membership, or is it a steady pace, or is it shrank?
We've been pretty much flat over probably the last decade or so. It's had its ups and downs. Right now we're still pretty flat. We haven't actually focused a bit on marketing and growth yet. Our focus has really been internal. The last 3 years have been kind of fix things behind the scenes, get the right staff in place, get the right systems in place to support that growth. The last thing that any organization would really want to do is focus too much on bringing new people in if they're going to kind of fall out on the backside and have that turnover rate. So we've really been focused on shoring up systems, and then now on improving of membership benefits. And we're starting to hit that phase now. We're putting together our marketing plan and going out there to start to grow. So we've been lucky, though, that I think with the changing technologies in the lighting industry, that's helped to keep individuals joining our society. And now with the new education, that's helped to keep them here as well.
Okay, I have some questions that might be difficult for you. Okay, they might be tough ones.
Okay.
What's the average age of a member?
The average age of a member, good question. I believe it's in the 40s.
40s, and is that going up every year?
You know what we have found? No, we found we have a large number of new members that are joining that are younger in age. We have two peaks. We have about 25% of our membership is about 50 and above, and another 25% or 30% is 5 years or less. And so we have two peaks with a valley in the middle.
Okay, and it's interesting because. And this is going to be a tougher one. Why isn't, if the lighting industry is exploding, and I mean, in Toronto, I used to be the only lighting guy in this area. Okay, there's now 16 lighting stores within a walking distance of my own shop. Okay, why isn't the IES growing in an environment that's growing like crazy, in membership wise?
Sure. Well, I think that we haven't properly helped to support the local sections, which is where a lot of growth comes from historically in organizations like this over the last probably decade. We've really been focused through Tom's education and through what the standards department has been doing and staff to support the sections so that they have what they need to put on quality events and that we can help them to focus their efforts not on administrative stuff, but going out there and being the grassroots effort to grow the society. And so now that we've been bringing our sections closer to us, figuring out how we can better support them, I think we'll start to see that growth coming now in the next 12 months or so.
Okay. Why is it that these individuals that are new in the business, they don't really see the IES as an authority like Greg or I would, older, 18 years in the business. Greg, would you 15 years in the game, something like that?
Yep.
Right. So when we were started in IALD, the IES was the authority in lighting, and it seems like the new entrants to the lighting business don't see that. And is there a strategy to attract those people, or are you deliberately not wanting the new entrants into the IES?
No, we absolutely do want those new entrants coming into IES. I think it's for two reasons. For some time, I think we're afraid to promote ourselves as the lighting authority and to pat ourselves on the back and show when we're doing a good job. And so, I think that certainly is part of it. And that goes hand in hand with branding and marketing. But I think the other part is we need to focus a lot of our efforts now during this growth phase on collaboration. I think collaborating with other organizations will help to get that name out there and help to bring in those new entrants into the society where they're in lighting already, and now through these other collaborations, whether it's with local events, whether it's with international events, whether it's with partnering on MOUs or strategic relationships, I think that will really help to get those individuals to continue to join the organization.
Greg, do you think there's also, I'm going to ask Greg first, then you, Tom, because we always say, Tom, we're in the trenches of the business. Like, we're in the day-to-day, we're running into these new entrants all the time. And they're not like us. They only sell LED. They don't know anything about CDM metal halide. They don't know anything about mercury vapor for low pressure sodium. They don't know any of this stuff. Greg, do you think it's a categorical problem that associations like NAILD and the IES have these traditional categories that don't seem like a fit to the new pseudo contractor / importer of their, person in the lighting business? What do you think about that, Greg? Is that the problem? Is it a categorical thing?
I don't know that it is as much as what I was reading here is your vision on the IES is to build upon a century of excellence to create the premier lighting community dedicated to promoting the art and science of quality lighting to its members. And I think that's a big word, is quality. And I think that's what's missed a lot. I don't know that the categories really affect it. I think it's just that a lot of people in the business are here to make a quick dollar and not really care about the quality of the lighting. We've talked about this on previous shows. And I think that's the biggest issue, and maybe one of the biggest challenges the IES has is convincing people in lighting now that quality does matter. And how do we do that as a lighting community?
I think you're right, Greg. I think you're right. I mean, our board has thought that for some time now. And so at the annual conference, the board put out its 10 belief statements, which are on our website. And we've been putting in our marketing material now, which is all based around quality lighting. And so that's something from an advocacy effort that we're trying to get out there and through PR opportunities about quality light.
You know what's interesting? We just interviewed Dr. Veach on a couple podcasts ago, and I was talking to her, and she was sitting in studio with me, actually, another Canadian, and we were just chatting, and she was saying about how there's like a convergence of physics and psychology and sociology and then lighting sciences, and it's coming together here, and it almost seems like it's like the fish figuring out they're in water, discovering the water or something. How is the IES handling all these new definitions surrounding color and CRI and this sort of stuff? Do you guys have committees on that?
We do have committees on that. We've also been focused on getting our content out there beyond just the membership. And so by getting that content out there on that same topic matter, whether it's through our new Ready Reference app, through our nomenclature document, which is now free for the general public, vehicles like that to get the information out there from our committees to the general public helps to move that cause forward.
Now, does the, again, maybe a tougher question here, but a lot of the newer people to the lighting industry consider the quality lighting if it's DLC rated, and they don't really think about anything else. They look at the label so they can get their rebate. Now, do you feel that the IES could have or should have maybe implemented a program similar to DLC before they jumped into the industry?
That's probably beyond my knowledge, and not even knowing all the history that went on behind all that. I probably wouldn't be able to give a good answer on that.
I'll answer that.
Okay.
I think, if I may, I will suggest. I'll make a suggestion. Okay. This whole thing started 2013, Greg? The whole LED rocket takeoff, right? So we're sitting on the nose cone in 2013. But a lot of traditional people in the lighting business were very toe in the water when it came to LEDs. We had this whole host of MRO business out there where light bulbs burned out and you ship them new ones, and then, oh yeah, we'll upgrade you to fluorescent, high efficiency fluorescent. We had a lot of knowledge staked in those technologies, and when the LED rocket took off, you would see a lot of members at NAILD saying, I'm not going to sell those LED tubes. I can do the same thing. And they were right. I could do the same thing with a 4-lamp low watt ballast and 25-watt tubes. And that's the way to do it. And what happened was the lighting industry kind of underestimated the rate of adoption by the general public. And I think this was because the rebates became so incredibly high. There was so much a momentum behind them. I would say, Tim, that this business is one of the most dynamic and innovative businesses in the world. And I would say maybe even more so than cell phones if you look at things from an energy efficiency perspective. Okay, so if you're saying, look how much energy this industry has saved in 5 years or even 10 years if you consider the fluorescent lighting. And excuse me. And on top of that, the rate of innovation, although it's not a handheld device, a consumer product in your hand, the rate of innovation is certainly as fast as that one with the computer chips. What do they call that one? Every year and a half, it doubles, shrinks in size, and increases in performance. What's the name of that?
Exponential rate.
No, it's not that, Matt. It's there's a name for it. But anyway, the rate of innovation in lighting is as fast or faster than it is in consumer electronics, and I think that's caused a lot of problems for incumbents. Like you see, there's no more, like Sylvania, GE, and Philips. Dr. Ma didn't even call GE one of the big three anymore, Greg, on the last show. He called it Cree.
Right.
And I think a lot of us, including the IES, has struggled with this change. And so I would say that that's been a struggle for the IES in a sense to manage that massive transformation like that.
Absolutely. I mean, it went from a lighting industry to a technology industry overnight. And that's how I describe it. Not coming from the lighting industry, most of those individuals, whether family or friends that I'm communicating with, and that I see on a regular basis, have no idea about lighting. And so when they ask about what the IES does, the easiest and most effective way to talk about IES and lighting is as a technology industry now. With all the rapid changes that we're going through, that's really what we are.
It's called Moore's Law. That's what it's called. And it came up Moore's Law. It came up in like the 70s, and computer chips would increase and double in performance and shrink in size by by every year and a half. And lighting is at least doing that for the last 10 years in terms of like lumen per watt or whatever metric you want to use. It's astounding, Tim. Astounding, really, it is. I'm off in my own world here, but what I would say with the IES is, how are you guys going to tackle this IoT issue? This is a whole other, sideswipe coming at the lighting industry just when we're getting to grips with the LED thing.
Yeah, you're right. And so what we've been working on trying to do is we've put together a new IoT committee. That's brand new. That's been formed within the last couple of months. So they're working on some technical documents that will be coming from that committee. And in the meantime, we also have Mark Lean, who I believe has been on the podcast as well, our industry relations manager, whose his efforts are focused on getting out there for our society. And he's been at IoT conferences speaking about lighting and representing IES and the lighting industry there. And as you can imagine, and as you've said, it's going to come, and it's going to come quick. So we have to be ready for it, and we also have to do what we can to position lighting as a central piece of that, and not have that taken away from us.
I know it's so like precarious when you think about it, because you know how sometimes you wonder, you go into a cell phone. Greg, when's the last time you bought a cell phone?
A year ago.
No, like you paid for it in cash, like $800.
Oh, yeah.
Right? You don't do that anymore, right? So what is the lighting industry going to a place where, hey, who cares about the LED tube in there? I want to have access to the communication network or whatever it is that goes with that. Right. That's a massive transformation.
Well, I think that's the fear, right? It's the fear that lighting is just the real estate, right? Just becomes the real estate, and then you lose the lighting quality, which is what you were talking about before.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like a convergence of experts. Like in the science of it, you have physicists, you have chemistry, you have psychologists, you have sociologists and behavioral therapists and medical doctors and all this sort of stuff converging on this health effects side. That's a whole other thing. The health, I forgot about the health effects. Yeah. I mean, it just popped in my head now. And so you have this side of it where it's like, well, we may be able to create lighting systems that actually improve productivity, like human health outcomes. And on the other side, you have this technology, communication, and IoT thing. And hey, I just like to sell things that put light out, dude. I mean, it's really wild right now. Yeah. And I'm thinking about it. It's like, this is nuts. Tim, you're in for a big ride.
No doubt about it.
Woo! Come on, Greg, you back me up here, bud.
There's a lot happening. There's a lot that we have to do, though, to stay relevant, right? And so that comes from our technical committees, which have the experts that are on them in those respective fields, those subject matter experts. Because from a staff perspective, while we have hired from the industry, and we do have lighting experts on our staff, that's not their role, right? That's going to come from the committees. And so the work from the IoT committee and others are going to help us to stay afloat during this time and make sure we can navigate those waters, because it's going to be uncharted territories for us, for sure.
Now, the IES handbook you have, are you guys looking to revamp that again? I know we had a recent edition not too long ago, but is that going to be
you don't want
all
it
redone again? Oh, I actually use it's sitting, my computer is sitting on it right now.
Here, pull it out, Greggy.
Do that.
Yeah, so so we've been working now on how we're going to roll out the handbook. We're moving towards an online lighting library where we can take the handbook. It's going to be digital. It's going to be digital, not just in the sense of a PDF, but it's going to have different catalogs within it. You'll be able to make notations. We're looking at print on demand for it, and with the move for all of our technical documents to be on continual maintenance, that means we can update the documents within it in real time. And so whenever members log into the website and access the online lighting library, they'll be able to see what's the newest material that's been added to it. And it also gets the content in the hands of individuals, no matter where they are around the world.
What about what about keyword search functionality? Is that going to be integrated into that?
Yeah, so we're looking to do keyword search functionality, the ability for organizations or companies to have corporate-wide access if they'd like that built in, so that through their single sign-on, employees can highlight for one another to see what's in there, to share and communicate through that function as well. And we're looking at finding ways that we can kind of back out and link to research as well that supports those documents.
You know, it sounds like to me you need to go down to Silicon Valley and hire like the head of IT of Amazon and 100 of his people to accomplish this. Like, it sounds like an enormous task. I'm serious. Like it really seems like a big challenge, yeah. And then then on top of that, you have these like this convergence of IoT and the health effects of lighting. It's coming so fast. It's like it's scary how fast it's coming.
Well, and that's where I mentioned before that we've been lucky with the volunteers on our committees have been focused on updating all of these documents and focused on helping us to move forward towards the launch of this, which we're anticipating to be 2020.
Greg, can I make a suggestion to the IES?
You're here, and let's do it.
Okay, well, can I whisper it in your ear first? Okay. I think maybe you guys should put out a statement about the health effects of lighting, like a formal statement saying nobody knows anything yet. Anybody that comes to you with claims saying that there's a 4% productivity enhancement if you use these lights, I think you guys should just at the very least, put out statements to the public saying we are the authority on lighting and we are saying that this is crap. Anybody that comes to you and says that this does this, they are a charlatan. I mean, you don't have to use such certain terms, but of course, but I mean, that would be very appreciated by guys like me in the field and guys like Greg in the field who are up against people that, hey, guess what? I'm here and I've been in the game for 6 months, but hey, these lights are going to, they're going to, not only are they going to increase your productivity, but they're going to reduce your sick days. You're going to have 2% less sick days. And this is going to translate into a $170,000 ROI per day.
Well, I do know our Light and Human Health Committee is working right now on the creation of a document which should be coming out in the coming months as well.
Okay, good. Whew. I'm hot today, Greg.
You're getting after it. How active are you guys at the IES in the LC accreditation? I know it's not really part of the IES, but it's an important part of the lighting industry. Do you guys get real active or involved in that?
We get very active as supporters of the LC. from a membership standpoint, in order to be a member grade of IES, you need to have a certain number of years experience, and that the number of years can be waived or cut down based on if an individual has their LC. So that's one way that we help to support the program. In addition to other marketing efforts for it, we try to put together LC study courses that Tom's been working on redoing over the last couple of months and launching again for us. So with the help of some of the other subject matter experts that teach it. So that's how we try to support the LC, and it's very important to the industry. We want to make sure that it keeps its prominence.
For sure.
Have you seen a lot of interest in those study groups? I know it's just within the last few months, but have you seen a lot of people that are ready to take the LC or come forward with it?
I'm not sure. Are you referring to the number of people that are taking the LC exam itself?
No, your study group. Are people interested in that?
Oh, the study group. The study group. Yeah, the study group has it's still maintained about the same amount of individuals that were in it. We saw slight growth in it, but we've been working on putting together a new format for it that will be coming out next. And so we hope to see some growth there based on new pricing strategies and the type of content that individuals will receive.
Wow.
Okay. Now, the other big question I've got on in terms of, I know the IES is part owner of LightFair, and how active are you guys in planning LightFair? And is that really your conference, or is the IES Annual Conference the conference you guys are focused on? I've always been a little confused on that.
Good question.
IES, good question. Yes, IES is a 1/3 partner owner of LightFair with IALD and IMC now. And so we're all equal 1/3 owners of LightFair. There are separate conference advisory committees where members and individuals within the lighting community volunteer to help identify speakers and content and select who will be presenting at those shows. We do, all three partners have a management committee representatives that help to determine the future strategy of the show and make operational decisions. For IES, as a staff and our volunteers, we focus largely on our annual conference as well and our street and area lighting conference. Those are our two annual ones that we spend a lot of time in here internally on. We also have our biannual research symposium. So that's where we focus a lot of our time. Our board, our committees focus a lot of time on those conferences. But from an organization, we have participants from our board that are on the management committee and make decisions as we meet throughout the year.
What's the relationship between the NCQLP and the IES? Don't they do the exam for the LC?
Yes, they do.
They run the LC.
They conduct the LC exam. They run the LC.
So are they a part of the IES? They're not a part of you guys.
It's a separate organization. There are a number of supporting organizations with IES and IALD as another organization there that help to support NCQLP and the LC exams. But they're a separate organization.
Wow. I wonder what's going to happen in the next 10 years with this, with all the, I can't get off this topic. I can't get it out of my head, Greg and Tim. I can't even imagine what 10 years is going to be like. It's so exciting and intriguing to see, how lighting people and led by the IES really capture the market and the leadership here. And I just find that idea and that challenge so fascinating. Greg, am I going nuts here on this one? Because I really feel like that is a very dark road to look down.
Yeah, and that was one of my questions here, and we can direct it to you or Tim or both. Is it an exciting time? Is it an exciting time or a scary time to be in lighting? That's my question.
Well, For me, it's an exciting time. I think there's so much opportunity for our organization and for lighting in general. But, I came in only 3 years ago to lighting. So this is all I've known, right? So I don't have the history that you both have to know what it was like and what it's like now and to have those feelings about where it's going. For me, it's exciting. It's been exciting since day one of getting here.
Oh, dude, lighting
nothing like what I expected.
before you got into it, it was the oldest, dodgiest, like most, I don't know how to put it, locked into its ways industry there ever was. So the light bulb's burned out, send them another one. Light bulb's burned out, send them another one. That's basically what it was. I mean, the only exciting side where you would see like a little bit of innovation and this sort of stuff was on the lighting designers. But I mean, when it came to distribution and light sources, it was CDM metal halide or CFLs. Yeah, CFLs took a 25-year run, Greg.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can't even get a year out of a product now.
Right.
So I don't know, Tim. What else we got? Greg, you got more questions there? I'm kind of like...
Yeah, no, I think that was it. So as far as your guys' 5-year plan, you're in year 3 or so. What do we expect to see out of the IES going forward?
So this is our year where we're looking to increase our collaboration and strategic partnerships and start to try to grow the organization and leverage all the changes that we've gone through and transitions and grow our membership numbers, continue to grow the value of membership and the reach of the organization, and culminating in 2020 where we look to launch the online lighting library and kind of the rebirth of IES as the lighting authority. And from there, right now, actually our board's meeting in about 3 weeks to start on the next strategic plan to get us from 2020 to 2025. So we'll see where the board takes us with their vision and strategy. But it's exciting. With all the changes that have gone on in the lighting industry, IES has gone through just as many changes. And for me, it's exciting. It's exciting times in the lighting community and at IES.
Tim, thanks for coming on the Get a Grip on Lighting podcast.
Thank you guys for having me.
KEYSTONTECH.com, KeystoneTech.com sponsored today's episode. We talked a little bit about it before, but in addition to all the retrofit products they have, they're really coming out with a lot of new fixtures. And the one in particular we want to highlight today is their micro strip fixture. Comes in 2 foot, 4 foot, 8 foot, and has a nice sleek look. It's only about 2 inches wide, and it can be interconnectable and has all the Kelvin temperatures, lumens you want, and a nice diffused lens. What do you got, Mike?
Does it have a Keystone driver in it?
It has a Keystone driver in
Whoa!
it. So you know what that means? You know how to get the driver when you need it down the road. Because unfortunately, LEDs don't last forever.
What?
They do go out.
What?
Yeah. Yeah,
What?
at some point you're going to need to do something to it. And this will make it easy by going with Keystone because you know you can get the product in the future.
Who cares, Greg? Just throw it in the garbage and buy a new one. Nobody cares. What do you just replace it new? What? No, just replace it. No, come on, man. You got to be able to fix those things. Unfortunately, you're going to have to fix them.
That's the attitude.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, go to KeystoneTech.com, man. When you go there.
Check that out.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Always check it. And it's always important to look at that and then also consider joining NAILD. We've been members for years. It's a great organization of people in the lighting industry that are here for the long run, are looking out for the future and doing what's right in lighting. And we've talked a lot about it, but that's what's missed a lot. But NAILD does it right. We do it right. Join NAILD. Come meet us at a convention coming up or take any of their educational programs. They always got something available for you. And today's guest, we got to thank, was Tim Licitra of the IES. Had a great conversation with him, with the lighting authority of the IES, and look forward to what they're bringing to the industry.
Yeah, you know what? I really feel it's interesting because sometimes when you bring on that new executive director, someone from the outside, it's a total disaster. But from the outside looking in, I think he's really snapping the whip, and I think he's really lighting a fire under the IES, and pointing his finger, saying, "Hey guys, you can't stay here. You got to go over there." And here's a strategy that works. And I don't know what you want to do with these lights and bulbs and all the stuff you got, but we got to go over there. We got to get big on the training. And I thought Tom Butters is on his game. There's lots of new stuff on the IES website. What's their app called? I know we advertise it on the thing. I'm not an app guy. I have a BlackBerry. But what's their app called, Greg?
The IES Ready Reference app, I believe is what the name of it is. Yeah, and it's a nice app I've downloaded, and it's something where you can check out all terminology and different things that have to do with lighting and the quality of lighting. So very good.
All right. Episode 49, Greg.
Get a grip on lighting.
Written on the rectory wall, there's a sign there for all. You are lost load is there to find.